Originally, this series was intended to start from the beginning of the franchise and ease through, but since I'm trying to get into a habit and schedule for things, I figure what better time to start than now. This way, I can get something of a Halloween special out and achieve my other goals as well. Hello? Hello, hello! May here! Today we're going to kick off my Animatronic inventory series with the one and only Dreadbear. So buckle up, pop on your theory caps, and enjoy. Known as Frank and Freddy in early development, Dreadbear was originally introduced to the franchise through Help Wanted's Curse of Dreadbear DLC on October 23, 2019. As far as anyone is currently aware, he is in no way now, or ever was, a physical animatronic, existing only in and for the VR games and external media. According to the Ultimate Guide, he is an animatronic Frankenstein with stitching and neck bolts in the likeness of Freddy Fazbear. His feet have 3 toes, matching the toy animatronics, while his hands have 5 fingers, matching the Nightmare animatronics. Dreadbear appears as part of a research and development game, where players must program his brain. His toe and finger count could have led to some theory debates, but I personally think that this was done specifically because of the theory counting done in the past. Why not poke a little fun at the fandom sometimes? That's the point of Mr. Hippo, after all. Anyway, he is known to have some strange size inconsistencies, as in-game he is of average size for the Nightmare animatronics. However, when in the hub and level selection screens, he is the largest of any of the animatronics to date, seen towering over entire buildings at times. This carries over when he cameos later on. This Halloween behemoth can be found in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC in the main DLC hub, as well as during the Danger, Keep Out, and Spooky Mansion levels. He has a small cameo in Help Wanted 2 as a cardboard cutout. Thus far, his only other appearance has been in the Steel Wool Studios' Five Nights at Freddy's Spooky Halloween Ambience video. There, he can be found in 2 ways, reaching his hand out of one of the graves and in the background. When seen in the background, he stands up in the field behind the windmill, looks around, and walks off screen. Notably, when found walking here, he switches to a stomping hobble, rather than moving in the zombie-esque classic Frankenstein gait used in his initial appearance. Notably, Dreadbear has no voice lines, but he shares his jump scare scream with those of the Nightmare animatronics. He himself does not have any variations, but he is treated as a variant of Nightmare and Nightmare Fredbear, although some attribute him to being a general Freddy or Fredbear variant. If idling in the hub for long enough, Dreadbear will appear from behind the player and make his way to the barn. Otherwise, he really just shows up in 2 of the added minigames, as mentioned before. Spooky Mansion Dreadbear takes place in a research and development area, where the animatronic in question undergoes controlled shocks. These appear to be both a callback to Sister Location and just how Frankenstein works in traditional media. The goal of this is to make the animatronic by calibrating a brain to put into him. This is notably a timed game, as the power steadily drains and requires a shock to restart it. After 5 shocks, Dreadbear will attack. The brain must be dyed, charged, and set to the correct frequency. Each of these are randomized each time. As for the second game, Danger, Keep Out, he appears in the Night 3 level, which is the traditional sit and survive format of the original games. Dreadbear replaces Freddy from the standard gameplay, but with an altered path. He starts on the left of the establishment, circles around the party room that way, and then approaches from the right hallway. These animatronics have to be near constantly checked on, and alongside his fellow Halloween variants, Dreadbear must be flashed in order to keep him at bay. Ribbon 1020 has a tutorial for the night that I will link down below, but it's a balancing game of watching cameras, flashing lights, and resetting the power. Lore, lore, lore! Always with the lore, but Dreadbear is surprisingly found rather lacking in that department. That's not to say that he has no lore impact or implications, but he's harder to parse apart than most things in this series, despite the fact that this DLC, and thereby his introduction to the franchise, has been out for around 6 years now. So what can we find? Well, starting with Easter eggs, there are 2 main ones, and then just a fun fact that I'm throwing in alongside them. Using a secret button to turn on the blacklight mode can cause the car's headlights to turn purple. After waiting for a while, a giant Dreadbear can be found in front of the monitor, though this can also happen randomly. Additionally, his trailer introduction had his hand initially shooting out of the ground in front of a static TV screen before the camera pans to the physical animatronic looking towards the camera. In the gameplay trailer, he is only featured in the later pose, showing the DLC name. As for the little fun fact mentioned before, the texture name is DLC Freddy. What does it mean? What does it matter? Well, unless we want to fall down the rabbit hole of counting toes again, do not recommend. I feel that the biggest thing to analyze for this is the core of what Dreadbear is. At its core, Mary Shelley's tale of Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus, was a tale about Victor Frankenstein perverting science in order to bring life to a humanoid creature made of stitched-together pieces robbed from their literal graves. He is ultimately successful in this endeavor, but flees from his creation when it awakes. After a series of bittersweet but more often tragic events, Frankenstein's monster learns to speak, read, and write, eventually realizing the tragedy and cruelty of his creation. Returning to confront his creator, ending Victor's brother and framing a servant for his death. Despite his suspicions as to the real culprit, Victor does not intervene in the servant's trial and execution. Pursued by the monster, Victor is confronted with the proposal of creating him a bride, with Frankenstein's monster thinking it the only way that he might be able to be happy. Initially, Victor agrees before destroying the second monster in a panicked concern that they might reproduce. The monster first offs his assistant in retaliation before later doing the same to Victor's new bride. Unrelated to the monster's antics, Victor's father dies soon after, and with no one and nothing left to lose, he vows to end the creature he created. Pursuing him to the Arctic, Victor later succumbs to exhaustion and hypothermia, at which point Frankenstein's monster finds and mourns him before expressing his plans to burn himself on a pyre and leaving. All in all, like Prometheus, Victor's self-inflicted tragedies are a lesson in the dangers of stealing power and knowledge that are not one's own and using them where they are not intended, and in fact, even warned against. The gift of life is perverted throughout this tale, leading to lives of tragedy for both the Doctor and his creation alike. Who would these characters relate to in the franchise? Well, perverting life and death sounds like the work of none other than William Afton, especially if his motives are the same as in the books, where his ultimate goals appear to be some form of immortality. But Dreadbear is the equal to Frankenstein's monster, thus his development name being Frankenfreddy. So who is he? Well, cutting out the build-up since this has gotten much longer than expected, the short answer would be Crying Child, aka Dave Afton. Yes, the name is still debated, we don't get a lot of confirmation in this fandom. Well, yes, it is thematic to the actual Frankenstein creature. The fact that Spooky Mansion revolves around constructing a new brain, the fact that Cece's skull and thereby brain were inevitably crushed in the accident, suggests that this would be a very real thing that could have needed to be done. True, Cece was probably not rebuilt or attempted to be rebuilt as an actual living person again, but his mind was likely fragmented. Shadow victim, anyone? Some part of him would need to be rebuilt even if everything else was made anew. Otherwise, it would never be him, even in theory. Consider F10N4. Yes, Edwin eventually reaches the conclusion that she's not really her, but having these pieces of her mind, memory, and personality were what made the illusion real. If M1 remained as simply the endoskeleton, then it would never be Fiona. But with her mind? That's where F10N4 was born. The same would need to be the case to achieve even a semblance of success for Cece. Without repairing or recreating the mind, the body would never be anything more than that. A body. Sure, this might dip into will care territory, but William didn't have to care about his child to want to turn him into a science experiment in this way. If he wanted to achieve immortality for himself, then scientific theory necessitates testing the theory. He would need to prove that the method works before he could try it on himself. William doesn't have to care about Cece, or anyone he may have tried to revive, to test his methods on them before himself. So, where do we go from here? Well, unless something new comes out after this video goes up, which is highly possible, but there's not much that I can do, we work with what we have. Dreadbear has not been around for many things, but he's now been around for a while, and the implications of his involvement, especially with Fall Fest, could be drastic. What do you think? If you have any sort of theories or questions of your own, then as always, please feel free to leave your comment down below. And hey, if you like what I'm doing here, then go ahead and click that subscribe button and notification bell. It's free but helps the channel out a lot. I've also started going live over on the Purple channel, same name as here, if you're interested. May, over and out.